What are red flags in a friendship most people brush away? Continually feeling like you want to say something but should hold your tongue. Being dismissive of all your interests and achievements. Meanwhile, everything they do, no matter how mundane, is amazing. You see you got a private message from them and your gut reaction is to start getting nervous or anxious. What is it this time? Always asking for favors, but never there when you need them to return one. They only talk to you when all of their other friends are gone. Friends who are always happy to talk about themselves, but never once ask you how you're doing or anything engaging you to talk about yourself. Inability or unwillingness to apologize when he or she does something wrong. It's symptomatic of an ego issue that will eventually infect every aspect of your friendship. Friends that don't let you have any other friends and require 100% of your time when they can't give you the same. My best friend in high school once specifically requested for me to post a picture of us for National Best Friend Day or some similar holiday. I asked if she'd be posting a picture of us too. "No, I have a lot of best friends. But I'm your main best friend, so you should post a picture of us," was her response. The next couple years were full of backstabbing and gaslighting, complete with occasional fallings out until we finally stopped speaking. Looking back, I can't believe I didn't see it coming. They call you only when they need you. They don't ask about you. They just turn every conversation about themselves. When you talk about exams, they don't ask you how you did, they just talk about themselves. When you talk about not sleeping well, they talk about how they didn't sleep. When you tell them you broke up with your so, they talk about their so, etc. Reading these comments are helping to calm my anxieties about whether or not I'm a good friend, so thanks for that, y'all. I've got a friend who loves to talk about himself. Everything is always about him. So, when I'm out with my friends and he's in our group, we created a game where you have to drink every time he starts a conversation about himself. It's made it a lot more tolerable. Reading through this is making my heart sink with realization. Friends that aren't happy for your success and happiness, but are very close when you're sad. Passive-aggressive insults to other friends. They never say anything supportive of you, but they will point of your flaws and can't wait to burn you, because it's funny to them. And then the follow-up of, "You're too sensitive, it's just joking." Friends who are good to you when one-on-one, but constantly put you down in group settings. This is a big sign of insecurity/jealousy. Other signs. Inappropriate attention-seeking behaviors, trying to twist the situation on you when confronted about things, not respecting your boundaries, is super friendly with new people, but in a disingenuous, I want to be liked the most way. Constant gaslighting, getting mad at you for not going by the exact same moral playbook as them. When in group settings, they get really uncomfortable and try to change the subject or put you down extra if attention is on you, acting they like can take. Constructive feedback, but actually taking it out on you in small ways throughout the rest of the day. Friends that constantly hit you. Really jealous and possessive friends. I'm a jealous person by nature, and even though my jealousy flares up when I see my friends hanging out with other people, I would never let them know. Why? Because I don't want them to feel bad about doing the things they love, e.g. having a social life outside my little world. If a person tries to box you up because they want you all to themselves, it's not a proof of love or companionship. True love, in any kind of relationship like friends, family, lovers, is shown by respect and allowing the other person to have free will. When you hang out with them, it feels like you're defusing a bomb when there's nothing going on right then. The ones who create and constantly dominate group chats. If you think about them when you read this post. When you can't trust a damn word they say, or any promise they make to you, you know you don't have a good friend. This is subtle and a bit counterintuitive, but beware of the rescuer martyr. The person that's always rushing out to help and give everyone else their all whether or not it's needed or whether the recipient is comfortable with it. They are good people, very well-intentioned and saintly in their generosity with their time and energy. However, sometimes it goes to the extreme, and then it's more a symptom of a toxic cycle where they only get meaning and self-worth when they are saving someone. Or maybe they keep swooping into other people's lives to fix things in hopes that someone will do the same for them. They may have good intentions, but they tend not to have good boundaries. They get over-involved in your life, take on way too much, and make everyone's problems their own. They end up overwhelmed, mired in drama, and resentful. And then they become the martyr. The problem with being friends with this type of person is that you're not in an equal friendship where you like each other, enjoy spending time with each other, and when there happen to be downs, you support each other through them. It's more like you're a project, everyone's a project, and once you stop being a project, you're now support, not just for them and their own problems, but part of the fire brigade for their other projects, which they've internalized as their own problems and drama. If you have had a friend for a long time, but you only seem to be able to talk about memories in the past, each time you get together or exchange messages, it's "remember in high school," or "remember that time when," could be a sign that you both have grown apart and do not have much in common today that you can connect on. It's when that is only the extent of your communication that I think it becomes a red flag. I look at it from this perspective. If you were to have an intimate discussion on your future hopes, goals, or just confiding in each other, would it feel forced, awkward, or just unnatural? If so, it's likely because you both can't relate to one another. That's when I think it's a red flag. OP's question is great. It's a red flag that most people ignore because it doesn't seem like a red flag until you really analyze and think about the depth of the conversation you are consistently having. I have friends like this, but it prevents them from being good friends. Having to censor yourself. I have friends with different religious/political beliefs that I think are absolutely insane. I don't endorse what they say, but I just keep my mouth shut. Because I know they wouldn't be okay with it, and the purpose of these friendships usually revolve around sports/music. Friends that only care to talk about their own success and aren't genuinely happy for you and yours unless it amounts to less than their own. When they cancel plans, they always do it last minute. Controlling, manipulative friends that try to change you rather than accepting you as you are. Friends that are a one-way street. I was always the one to message, call, or make plans with them. I was always the one to check up on them to see if they were okay. I always offered a helping hand and be there for them. I decided to stop to see if they would reach out to me, but we never spoke to me again. Oh well. When you realize that you are more yourself when they're not around. You'll gladly do a favor for them or help them out, but when you need something, they won't do it and act like you're ridiculous for asking. Also, when friends don't respect boundaries. If they post about having a bad day but never answer anyone asking why. X. Friend, FK this day. I'm so sick of this. 5 different people in comments. What happened? Friend, message me, nothing or no response. You decide to message. You get, just had a bad day. And then nothing. Or get nothing at all. Or they tell you they'll tell you later. They won't tell you later. Chances are absolutely nothing actually happened. When they pressure you to do things for them, or a certain way, and act like you were on board the whole time. Coercion. They say they are holding you accountable to something you never wanted in the first place. Gaslighting. They take the high road when you get angry because they won't respect your boundaries. Play the victim. When they refuse to validate you/compliment you. When you tell them your accomplishment or something you're proud of, they reply with what they did to devalue your thing. I think this whole concept of red flags is misleading though, for the most part. Nobody is perfect, and as human beings we're not one thing or another. We're complicated messes. You just have to accept people in their entirety, or not. I would never take one red flag and think it makes someone suspect or a bad friend. I just accept that's one singular thing about them that wasn't to my tastes, but they may have other traits which make them a wonderful friend. Friends that are always on their phones when you make the effort to hang out with them. Friends that makes jokes at the expense of you. They choose where and when to meet for plans without your input. Then act entitled if you are busy or simply can't meet their demands. If you tell your friend that you like a person and you two are hanging out, then out of nowhere they start to talk to the person 24/7 and then tell you that they like the person and gets jealous if anyone else starts to talk to that person. Pretty toxic to me, but yeah. A friend of mine has been making fun of me for years. Just made fun of me whenever I did/said anything, even if I was serious. Didn't realize how much it's affected my self-esteem until I actually got really angry at her for something else and no longer considered her a friend. Also, she's mentally unstable. Now that's okay, and as her friends we want to help her with that, but she's not giving us a chance to do so. She just flips her shit and expects everyone to adapt to her. The real problem is that she hasn't changed. The same shit's been happening for years and she's apparently not trying to work on herself in that regard. Still expecting us to just accept whatever BS she throws at us. So fuck her. Personally, I've always had bad experiences with people who say everyone is their best friend. When my best friend in high school started calling 10 different people, including me, her best friend, that was when I knew I was just an accessory, and she was trying to surround herself with people to love her. Someone who listens to gossip about you and doesn't shut it down. They're constantly on their phone messaging people or talk about people they speak to, but can never seem to reply to your messages. Friends who encourage you to do self-destructive things because it makes them feel better about their own lives. When they ditch you the moment they start dating someone. If the only jokes they're able to make are ones that make fun of other people. It's always a ticking time bomb with people like this, and one day they'll suddenly turn against you without warning. Having to comply with someone's opinion that you don't believe in. If you find yourself not getting along in an everyday way, that's a flag. They try to correct your personal preferences for you. Bully you out of liking certain clothing/music/foods/art, etc. They'll often frame it as if they're doing you a favor. It's a sign of emotional immaturity when people treat others like play objects rather than human beings. Being flaky. Nobody is that busy for a 2-second text to cancel plans or to not even agree to them at all. You will say sorry for everything and flighter words so you don't offend them. Having their damn phone in their face the whole time. If they do that, they don't want a friend, they want company. It's not the same. Lie about weird or unimportant stuff. Friends who stay friends with people who traumatized you. Conditional friendship. We're friends until I question you in the slightest way, and if I do, the relationship is tanked. Source. Happened to me yesterday. Goodbye, ass fuck. Not so much a red flag, but one of the most annoying traits a friend can have is being cheap. Constantly skipping out on their round in the pub or never chipping in for the taxi. Just being miserable with money. It's an awful trait, and to be honest, saving a few dollars by being cheap will cost you your friends in most cases. They push you to the side once they get a significant other. They make you feel sad when they try to heavily influence what you like. Had a friend who almost had a mental breakdown because I wasn't playing Minecraft with default controls. It's legit annoying as fuck, and there's a difference between being funny about it and then just being straight up mental about it. Not to sound morbid, but one day, I'm gonna die, and I don't want to spend my life giving a shit about stuff that nobody cares about. Making a personality out of this trait is incredibly childish. Friends who say they'll help you out, but bail when you reach out. Friends who forget to invite you or text you back about events/parties. Friends who undermine what you say in group settings, i.e. you tell a story or make a comment and they correct you in some way. Never-ending one-upmanship. You're not their friend, you're their ego crutch. Friends that spontaneously invite you to do something at the last minute, which I do like, but then you have to turn them down because you already have other plans, and so you ask for a rain check, and they take it personally. It's even more frustrating when they don't ask you to do anything with them again. You leave their presence feeling worse about yourself. Mostly because they will have an excuse for what they say. When you ask them for anything, they are busy, but they will demand things from you. Most people also brush away that they will demand a lot of attention. If anything y'all do together is always steered towards what they want to do. It's easy to miss initially when you're getting to know their likes and interests, but once you know them, it becomes clear they're just using you as some kind of emotional/physical accessory. I had a friend like this for a while. We always did what he wanted, and he just wasn't always that interested in what I liked or enjoyed. Just sort of would rope me into whatever he wanted to do. I progressively got to the point where I felt like I was being used. After a while, he pressured me into sleeping over at his place. I obliged as we'd been drinking, and I didn't feel great about driving home. He took my keys and said something to the effect of, "You'll get these back in the morning." He wanted me to sleep in his room with him and share a bed, which I've done before with many other guy friends, so it wasn't abnormal. However, it was the way he sort of said, "No, you're sleeping in my room," when I was laying on the couch that made me uncomfortable. When we were in bed, he asked if I wanted to cuddle. I politely declined, but it also clicked for me then that I was only there to fill a need for him. If it had been one of my other close guy friends who reciprocated my interests and needs, I may have been comfortable with that. But I realized he wasn't interested in me for me, only in what I could provide him, i.e. emotional or physical attention. To be honest, I don't think it would have progressed beyond cuddling. I was in a relationship though, so I didn't want to ride that line. But it was the way he pressured me into the whole ordeal that made me feel used and uncomfortable. I pieced out the early next morning and kept my distance from him after that. Took me a while to work up the courage to tell my girlfriend about it, because I felt stupid for being in that position and just generally feeling used. Moral of the story, respect yourself enough to watch out for your own interests and needs. Just because you want to be a friend to someone doesn't mean you have to be, and doesn't mean it's the best thing for you. If she starts dressing like you, hide your puppy. When they only want to talk to you when it's convenient for them. Just realize this is happening to me. Repeatedly have to put effort into maintaining the friendship. Understandable if someone is busy, but it gets to a point when it just becomes a one-sided relationship. Friends who guilt trip you for never hanging out with them, but always flake at the last minute when you do plan to meet. When you're with a whole group, but you're the one being brushed aside and not being included in conversations. Giving you random gifts to make up for sustained shitty behavior and making friendship transactional. Like, "I don't want your junk, I want you to quit being an ass." Having to be the one to always initiate contact or set plans. If you're giving 100% to the friendship and they're giving you 0, it's time to move on. The friends that if you don't call/text them first or invite them out, you never talk or hang out at all. Hey guys, not a red flag, but reminder to be that excellent friend to your buddies. Tell them you love them when you're done talking. Love is an important part of friendship. I tell all my friends I love them, guys and girls. They're the family I chose to have, so I choose to let them know what they mean to me. Text or call them whenever you think of them. Anything is better than nothing, and chances are they've been thinking of you too. Root for them in their personal and work lives. You want to see your friends and their families happy and successful, right? Tell them they deserve the promotion, or help get them hyped about their new project. Be honest with them when you need help and when they ask you for it. But even more importantly, be there for them. Remind them of their goals and help them find new things to reach for, like a house, a car, or a savings plan for their future children. Talk about your lives in meaningful ways. My best friend and I have known each other since kindergarten. Now we're both 26, and I'm incredibly grateful for his friendship and companionship over all of those years. Help your friends, love them, be kind to them, challenge them, introduce them to new things, and don't give up on them. Friends who drop you when they get into a relationship or have a crush. They won't make the effort to understand. You could be reaching over halfway across the table, and they won't even try to reach for you. Those friends that are only friends when there's no work to be done. When it's just you and them, your best friends. When in a group, they make jokes about you and low-key put you down. When your friend spends an inordinate amount of time bad-mouthing their/your other friends. They're going to be saying things about you too. Friends forming a clique within the wider friend group and slowly pushing you out until you're all but forgotten. This keeps happening to me, and I don't know how to get close to or connect to people anymore. Like, it always starts out great, amazing even, but people just magnetize to each other, and you find yourself alone again. Friends that leave you to go to a get-together while they are with you. Yeah, fuck those guys. When you tell them how their actions make you feel, and they state that's not how you should feel. Friends that always say, I miss you. But when you try and plan something with them, they never actually seem to want to. Not making enough time for you. Whether it is that you are always the one to begin conversations and make plans, the other person having plenty of free time but not for you, cutting visits short because they have to be elsewhere, or my personal favorite, inviting others to stuff you plan to do together, all of that shows that they don't respect you and the friendship as much as they should. Relationships are a two-way street, and given that we are a couple billion people, you better put in some effort before I drop you for someone better. The moment other people around, they immediately start making fun of you, and consistently do that. They leave at any time their closer friend comes around, and then return like nothing happened. After growing up a bit, I realized that most people I texted regularly would never ask anything or start any conversations. Just starting a conversation got so taxing after a while that I haven't made any new friends in years and lost contact with those people.